Here we go. It's 5 o'clock and we're off the clock. I'm BScott. And with us today, we have the one and only Monster Michael Todd. I mean, this guy right here is a menace on the table. He has 23 world championships and 36 national championships and countless others. This dude is an absolute beast. And if you can't tell by the size of his arms, he knows a thing or two. Well, man, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me, man. Happy to be here. Excited to tell my story. But yeah, I've been at it for a long time.
I know it, man. And it's crazy to me. You're just right there, local in Hot Springs.
Yeah, born and raised, graduated from Magnet Cove. So
it's so crazy. Small world. My mom actually went to school with Michael Todd, and she was quite a bit younger than he is. But anytime I was looking at arm wrestling stuff, Mom would always say, Michael Todd, blah, 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 She's like one of your fans, I reckon.
There you go. There's not a whole lot of them. No, it's growing. It's growing. I mean,
I don't know, with a beard like that?
Dude, I get recognized mostly for the beard. A lot of people are like, are you the arm wrestling guy? Are you Michael Todd? I'm like, yeah. And then someone's like, hey, epic beard. So
nice beard.
The beard gets just as much props as the arm wrestling world titles,
Oh, I can see it, man. Well, you definitely made your mark in the game, I'd say. Anytime you look up arm wrestling, you're everywhere. I mean, you can just look up arm wrestling, and it won't be a second you'll see Michael Todd stuff. So you definitely made an impact.
Well, I'm not done yet.
I know. You can't. Hey, you can take the fight out of the dog. You take the dog out of the fight, but you can't take the fight out of the dog.
Amen to that, brother.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, man, let's get this thing started. Tell us a little bit about the beginning. I mean, how did it all start?
Okay, so growing up, my father, he actually graduated from Magnet Cove as well, and he was like this all-star athlete and had all University of Arkansas looking at him, all that for football, but he blew out his knee his junior year or senior. I don't remember which one it was. So he always wanted me to be, following his footsteps. And I played backyard football and I, did all that stuff, but I did not do well at team sports. I just was not a good team sport guy. Like I succeed or fell on my own merit. So I saw Karate Kid when I was 10 years old. I was like, got to take karate, right? So I started taking karate. Then I switched to Taekwondo. I had my black belt by the time I was 14. Thing was, I was like 5'2" and 150. I was a little short, chubby kid. But I was super competitive. Loved martial arts. Was really, splits up against the wall, just really proficient, right? But I always arm wrestled. Like I always redneck arm wrestled my dad. I remember him putting his arm on this arm of the recliner, and I'd get up there and arm wrestle when I was just a little kid.
Yeah.
By the time I was 15, I beat my dad, and I could pretty much beat everybody in school. Senior in high school, I was at Votech in Malvern, and they said, that guy over there is second in the state. So we got on the cafeteria table, and I beat him. He's like, hey, you should go to this tournament.
Wow.
And that's what started. I was at the Saline County Fair like the next weekend. And that was 33 years ago, 2 weeks ago.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's an insane start. So you kind of come from a competitive athletic family then, it seems like.
Well, yeah. So my dad was like, I think the story that I was told when I was a kid, that the principal called him down to the office and because they vote you most likely to succeed, most likely the best look, all that stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, can you give some of this stuff back because you got voted everything? So my dad was like,
dang, he was that stud.
Yeah, he was real popular and, like I said, good athlete. But yeah, he just, I guess maybe he instilled some of it in me, but really I'm just a guy who, over the course of my life, the thrill of winning, the thrill of victory never really did it for me. It was my disgust for losing. So I tell people my disgust for losing will outweigh your desire to win. So I think that's just because I wasn't, although I'm 6'3", I graduated high school 6'3", 215. I wasn't genetically gifted to be this world-class, world champion arm wrestler, right? But it's through the evolution of setting short-term goals, reach those goals, set new goals. I always knew I wanted to be the best in the world. I didn't know exactly how I was going to get there. I just knew that every day I was going to work towards that goal. And then won my first world title in 2005. And
that's crazy. You never know where it starts. You kind of just, I guess you just walk the journey and it just leads you where it takes you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when you have a mindset like you do, where you don't want to lose. So continue to drive and drive.
The disgust for losing will drive you way harder than the pats on the back of winning, right?
It will.
The winning's great. It feels great. But my wife will let me walk around the house for about a week after I win some world title or something. She's like, at the end of the day, she's like, dude, it's just arm wrestling. It's not that big a deal.
It's not that big of a deal.
So, but that disgust for losing, it drives me until I get a chance to avenge it, right? So.
And it hurts.
100%.
It hurts.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, how arm wrestling started for me, I went to that event in 1990, and the crazy thing was, so I didn't meet my wife until 2011. But we were both at the Saline County Fair.
Really?
In 1990. We just didn't meet each other. So it took me I guess, another 21 years to meet her. And she is my best friend. Like, I don't want to see a sunset without her. We've never been apart more than 9 hours. She's like literally my best friend. Now we fight constantly, but when you're with somebody 24/7, that happens. But like I said, I don't want to have life without, hearing a joke and not seeing her laugh. And so she really is. She's my inspiration too, and it's very motivational. She's very focused on her training. She's actually a 7-time national champion, And
Wow.
you know, she's a beast, dude, and she's the reason why we had so much success with social media and stuff that she took off. I'm going all over the place. I mean, there's a whole lot more to go. But
I know. I can tell you're definitely passionate about it.
Yeah,
You know? And that's what it takes to be the top of anything is you got to have that passion.
Yeah, I mean, it just, like I said, it started when I was young, and here's my first ever medal. So I wasn't, like I said, in team sports. This is 1990 Saline County Fair.
Holy
Took
moly.
third place in the 200-pound division. And so say we were friends growing up, and I went to your house, and you had a T-ball shelf, all your trophies. Well, I didn't have that because I didn't do team sports, so I was kind of envious. So this was my first ever award, and I've kept everything for the last 33 years. So,
wow.
I mean,
you have a collection.
Yeah, there's well over 1,000 because, I mean, like I said, there's 23 world titles, 36 national titles. So, but yeah, so for me, going to that first event and taking that loss, I came back home. I had my buddy build me a table. I went to the boys club in Malvern, started holding tournaments, and he fast forward now, 33 years later.
So you started having events where your arm wrestling people hosting your own tournaments, like you said, and then at what point did you jump into real like competing nationally and worldwide? Like when did you really say, okay, this is what I'm going to do? How do I get there?
So it's kind of crazy. So 1990 to 1992 was all wrist wrestling. That's where you lock hands in the middle and you pin them to your forearm. There's not near as much technique involved.
Really?
A lot more upper body
So it was a different style of arm wrestling.
Yeah. So they called it wrist wrestling. You just had a horseshoe-shaped pad. You stuck your elbow in it and tried to pin your opponent to your forearm. A lot more.
Wow.
And the funny thing about this is, for years, I thought, up until this point in my life, I thought over the top was fake.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that's not how you arm wrestle.
Yeah,
because I thought you had to drive in with your shoulder. No, the outside move, the top row, the pulling aspect of arm wrestling was something I realized later. And actually in 1993, I beat the guy off over the top. Bull Hurley, his real name was Rick Zumwalt. So he was huge. I was 20 years old. We were at Texas State Championships. He was 6'5", 350 pounds, 21-inch forearms, 24-inch biceps, and wore 21 ring. Massive individual.
That's a big dude.
Yeah, but he had he drove outside into a back pressure top row, and I just drove on him with the press and beat him. So that
really,
back then, that was a claim of fame for me. You
was living on that.
Yeah,
you was proud of that one for sure.
Pretty much. But so, and how this all evolved is, I found out. So I was in college at Henderson, and to go back to school, I thought I used my tuition money to go to the national championships.
Oh,
instead of going back to college.
Yeah.
Because I was delusional and thought that there was really a $500,000 tournament I could win over the truck. I could win a diesel truck, right?
Yeah, you ready to
run? Yeah, that tournament only happened because of that movie. They actually did
really?
That. Yeah, John Brzezinski is the greatest arm wrestler of all time. He actually won the Volvo white tractor truck, but he didn't get it for a year later because they had to promote the movie for a year. So he won it, and then they had to drive around the United States.
That's funny.
He ended up getting it, selling it, and get a Corvette or whatever, but. Yeah, so I went to my first pro arm wrestling tournament August 1st, 1992, Bossier City, Louisiana, BJ's Country. This is an interesting story. So I go up and I show up to this event, first ever arm wrestling event. So all I've done is wrist wrestling.
Yeah.
Like I said, arm wrestling is a lot more technique.
Oh.
Round one, I drive into the guy, and the guy just flashes me. And I'm like, what the heck?
I had top row you?
Top row the crap. I didn't know what top row was. I was like, what the hell was this? And he smacked me. Well, the next round was, who I didn't know who this guy was. His name was James Anderson. But Robert Redden had been training for 3 years to beat James Anderson. Robert Redden puts James Anderson on the B side of the bracket. So round two, the two lost guys face each other.
Yeah.
I go into a crazy long hook match, catch a foul. Another long hook match, catch a foul. Another long hook match, and I beat the guy. People come up to me, pat me on the back. Oh my God, you just beat the national champ. My first ever arm wrestling event, professional arm wrestling event, I beat the reigning national champ.
That's crazy. How big were you then? I mean,
194.
You were 194?
Yeah, it was 198 weight class.
You're what, 6'3"?
Yeah, 6'3".
6'3"? Well, at that point, you've been training for how many years?
Just 2 years of just redneck wrist wrestling, arm wrestling, you know what I'm saying? Just
that's
all
crazy.
that type of stuff. But I had no idea who he was. But the guy could have beat me if he just top rode me. I was just redneck strong and hook, and he went
you
to
just
hook.
You didn't know what a top row was?
No clue. Yeah, I ended up the same guy that put me on the B side ended up knocking me down to fourth place. He ended up taking second in the event, and I took fourth.
Yeah.
And I told those guys, it's so funny because Robert Redden and Craig Touye, we met that day. They're like, so where are you from? I'm like, I'm Arkansas. I'm going to be at the national championships with McLean, Virginia in a month. They thought I was full of crap.
Really?
4 weeks later, we're connecting flights at the airport, and they see me like, oh my God, because they called me Bill Clinton because I was from Arkansas back then because, it was about the time when he was running to be president and stuff. But yeah, so that was it. I went to my first national championships. I cut all the way down to 176 pounds, weighed in at 174, made a sauna out of the bathroom, and dropped 4 pounds to make weight.
I can see you doing that.
Oh, 100%.
I can see you doing that.
I took 7th at my first nationals. Next year, I took 3rd at the national championships, went on to finish 7th at the world championships. But all this started in 1990, and I didn't win my first national title till 2000.
Really?
But then I won every year for 10 years, either right or left.
So you said you had to cut weight. What is the weight classes in arm wrestling
There's
now?
so many weight
'Cause
classes.
I'm not sure exactly. I know
Yeah.
you have like super heavyweight.
Yeah.
You have like, heavyweight, I'm sure. But what are the other ones, and what's the weights in them?
Well, this is a lot of information, but depending on whether it's a national championship event or just your other sides events. So national championships have weight classes every 11 pounds.
Wow.
121, 132, 43, 54, 65, 76, 87, 98, 220.
And they're all full of people?
Slam pack.
Crazy.
Right? Now,
Yeah.
most events, like, so I host the Monster Factory arm wrestling events. We have 4 classes. We have a lightweight 170, middleweight 200, heavyweight 240, and then super heavyweight 241 plus. Usually they break them down something like that: 154, 176, 198, 42 super, or they go to a little bit different. But it's normally 4 to 5 classes. Oftentimes it's right and left-handed. So the funny thing is, I'm right-handed, right?
Yeah.
But at the 1994 National Championships in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, first time they started holding left-handed at the Nationals. Well, they had it on Friday. Right hand was on Saturday. I couldn't stand to watch people arm wrestle without me, so I entered the left. And now half of my world titles and half my national titles are left-handed. But yet my left's nowhere near as good as my right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think it's all right? Let me ask you this: do you think the right side is much more challenging, competitive than the left
Absolutely. There's way more right-handed people in the world, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I think I've won so much left-handed, because there's less left-handed dominant people,
side? That makes sense.
right? And there's less people who compete left-handed arm wrestling.
So like, just numbers alone, just
it's just statistics alone. It makes it way more difficult to be right-handed world champ than it does
that
left-handed.
makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you got into competing super hard. Now let me ask you this:
Yeah.
at any point did you ever say, okay? Because I remember you said you went to Henderson,
Yeah.
right? Were you like, okay, I'm gonna go to Henderson, I'm gonna get a degree in this, and I'm gonna go become something, and then I'll arm wrestle on the side? Or were you just like, screw the degree,
Yeah.
I'm going to the big leagues, okay? I'm gonna be breaking wrists the rest of my life,
Right.
and what do I gotta do?
Yeah. So the funny thing is, when I was a kid, I thought, because I was a martial artist and I was always, kept that proficiency for a long time, I always thought I was going to be like some action movie star martial arts guy, right? Well, then I kind of realized that wasn't going to happen. I mean, it's still not too late. It could happen.
I mean,
But exactly,
still young.
Exactly. So, the college thing was cool. I actually was going to be pre-med and all that stuff. That's what I thought I was going to do.
Oh, really?
And then I just, I'm more of a guy who excels in athletics. I'm a guy who likes to push himself. And I genuinely believe whatever you prioritize in your life is what you're going to be good at. The same tools and things it takes to become a world champion athlete are the same things it takes to become successful in business or whatever. Whatever you put, like God, family, getting in shape has always been my priority. God first and my family, and then because I was a short, chubby kid, I still have self-esteem issues about being short and fat. So
you're not short and fat no more.
I'm not. And Rebecca's like, listen, you were short and fat for like 2 years. Shut up. But, it doesn't matter.
The loss hurts.
Those were formative years, right? So, So whatever, like I said, whatever you make important in your life and you do consistent work towards, you will be successful at. And that's all I've ever done. My entire life has been from setting a short-term goal, reaching that goal, setting a new goal, reach that goal. And people are like, something in today's society a lot, you'll see people set a goal and then just, when it gets tough, they quit.
Yeah.
I am different. And I think a lot of I don't know if I want to say successful people, but especially in the athletic realm, my quit is a different level of quit. If I ever choose to quit, because all I know is knock down, get back up, knock down, get back up.
And just keep going.
Yeah, I'm a black and white person. There is no gray. If I quit, it's like I'm 600-pound bedridden dude in 6 months.
You're done. You're dead.
I'm 100%. I'm out.
Yeah, you're out completely.
Outside of that, there's always, let's do it again.
Yeah, there's a
you
way
got
back.
to knock me back down.
There's a way back.
I'm getting back up, And that's all I ever did. So throughout, that type of overcoming adversity, I was able to achieve quite a high level of success in my chosen field.
Yeah, I can definitely tell just by watching the stuff you've done in your past that you're a very disciplined person, and it's not what people see; it's what people don't see that makes you the next level kind of athlete.
Without a doubt,
because you're where all the work is in the dark.
Yeah, no one sees that.
Nobody sees the losses, the bloody knuckles, the
sacrifice.
pain.
What you have to give up. Like for me, nutrition is such a big thing. Like if I didn't treat myself like a professional athlete, I would not perform like a professional athlete. So I'm not the guy who gets to, socially drink or just eat whatever and perform at a high level. I'm the guy that's got to put premium fuel in his body, And because of that, there's been numerous occasions, family out. We're in a society, we celebrate food for every occasion.
Oh, yeah.
And, wouldn't be able to eat this dinner with my mom or this family or miss out on this.
And you would hold out on
100%
stuff like that?
Because my goals were bigger,
That's right.
Sometimes in life, when you start thinking, well, I should have experienced that or should have done that. But at the time, it just didn't seem as important as the goal. Like the goal was to win, to be successful. Yeah, I mean, so I've always been. I'm a guy that has succeeded because he's taken a very professional approach to his craft.
Absolutely.
You know,
And like you said, you weren't supposed to be this monster, guy that's just destroying people. You had to work for it.
well, for years I was 198 pounds. Like I thought, because I had abs. I used to be a fitness model. Like I was the Lipo 6 before and after guy. I was this real pretty boy California looking dude. No beard. I couldn't even have facial hair.
Is that where you saw everything going though? Were you trying to get like the
100%.
this fitness model world where you just kind of arm wrestle, but you was also
the plan was this.
guy?
The plan was this. I always wanted to, because like I said, I graduated from Mankato, born in Malvern. I wanted you to drive into Malvern and see a sign, welcome to hometown of Olympic gold medalist and world arm wrestling champion, Monster Michael Todd. Arm wrestling never made it to the Olympics. In 1996, we had a chance to be a demonstration sport. We got beat up by women's beach volleyball. I guess I can see how that happened. But,
I can see that.
we never got another shot. Like we were in the Goodwill games, we did a bunch of different stuff. But arm wrestling, because, and I believe the reason, a lot of the Eastern European countries, which over there, it's almost more important to be strong than it is to be wealthy. Like their culture's different. Like they embrace.
They value different things.
They embrace strength a lot. So in these other countries, they had a unified, they're all part of the International Olympic Committee. In the United States, anyone could start a league. So we had no unified organization here. Like if you want to open up Havoc World Arm Wrestling Championships, you could do it tomorrow, right? You can do it. We have that freedom. But I believe that freedom has kept us from becoming an Olympic sport.
Global.
And now I don't think we ever will. I think we're going to take more of the path of the UFC. I think that's the path arm wrestling's going to take.
It's just like entertainment, just pure, just.
Well, I think it's going to be more professional path. I don't think, because I don't think anyone's ever going to give up control and just be one unified thing.
That's crazy.
But I said all that to say is back years ago, I mean, that was my goal. I thought I was going to, and I always used to think, do they want the skinny little lightweight guy or the big bloated super heavyweight guy or that really fit, middleweight, light heavyweight dude to be on the cover of Wheaties? You know what I'm saying?
I was
like, I'm going to be that 195 shredded dude that's on Wheaties, right? And then what happened, I was 31 years old, still looked like a kid. I mean, I got carted to get NyQuil. I did look young. And I got up to 210, and I was still like less than 10% body fat, super fit. I'm like, well, I'm not going to lose 10 pounds to go back down to lighter weight class. Well, that's what started, the evolution of me growing.
Got you. So at first you were just trying to protect your abs.
Exactly.
And then you're like, all right, I'm gonna venture out just a little bit.
Yeah.
Gain 10 pounds. I still got them.
Yeah. Well, then it was like I gained 10. I still had abs. Then I gained 30. I was fat. Then I got back down to 220. Had abs.
You're like a fluctuator?
Dude, I'm the biggest yo-yo. I'm an obsessive eating addiction dude. Like I had 47 pieces of pizza at CC's. I had 5-foot-long sandwiches at Subway in Malvern years ago.
Wow.
And so
do you got a record anywhere for some of this?
Well, I ate the Big Texan in 19 minutes. The 70-ounce steak in Amarillo. I got
in 19 minutes?
Yeah, it's not the record, but it was a very fast.
That's very impressive.
It was very fast. I mean, it's been crazy. Like I've always been able to consume enormous amounts of food. Back when I was younger, eating would make me hungry. The more I ate, the hungrier I got. So it was very easy. People are like, I've never seen you fat. I'm like, well, I'd get fat and I'd just never go anywhere. You never see me back then. Like, because this is before.
You had to burn it off.
Dude, I'd be like, I'm out for 2 months. You'll never see me again. I could get shit. All right, I'm back. And that's always been the thing is I could get super, super lean, but because I could consume enormous amounts of food, I could eat right 50 weeks of the year, look like a cover magazine, and by January 1st, look like I've never lifted weights a day in my life. I mean, that's 2 weeks, I'm gone.
That's crazy.
I'm getting better at more control now with my life and nutrition because at 50 years old, I want to be healthy as well. Like it's not just about being fit and lean; it's about living longer.
Yeah, so it's about making it.
Yeah, I can't be doing these 40, 50 pound fluctuations all the time. So
you kind of keep it kind of standard.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's crazy to even think about. I imagine as an athlete, half the battle is just keeping your body in a state of growth where you can constantly keep building and building and building. You got to take care of it.
Oh, 100%. So I'm a big advocate of, recovery and, before cold plunge or ice baths or any of those things really became a thing, I think for the last 20 years, I've been finishing off every shower like 2 minutes of ice cold water.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You said how long?
Probably the last 20 years.
20 years, wow.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things that I think it just made me feel more refreshed and because.
Just clear your mind up.
Yeah, I do that. And then now, I'm actually got a cold plunge at home. They sent me a free plunge because we do have a large social media presence now, thanks to my wife. We did like 120 plus million views across all the social platforms last year. So it's been a blessing. That's what's great. So, I don't even know where I'm at, but I'm going to tell you something funny. So I met Rebecca in 2011. So I was a personal trainer and she came in and I had this whole room full of trophies. And she's like, what's this? I'm like, I'm arm wrestling world champion. And she goes,
So I'm
that's a thing, like past grade school.
Not a big deal.
So she has immediately offended my craft, right?
Yeah, like,
so I fell in love, you know. That's how that went.
At
right?
that point, you spent your whole life.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. She goes, that's the thing, past grade school. I'm like, yeah.
I guess it is.
He claims I said I'm kind of a big deal. I don't think I have a shirt that says that, but I don't think I said that. But that's the story she tells.
That's funny.
But you fast forward to now, she's like, I cannot believe we get to live this amazing life all because of arm wrestling.
Oh, it's wild.
Oh, dude, it's insane.
It's crazy.
Like we've been all over the world, and one of the things that's crazy is 2021 during COVID, we were living in Dubai. Larry Wills moved me over there to train for arm wrestling. So for Valentine's Day, there's a 7-star hotel in Abu Dhabi. I didn't know there were 7-star hotels, but because COVID, it was like basically empty.
Really?
So we got to do Valentine's Day weekend in a 7-star hotel with a 1.5-mile private beach doing camel rides. So I've kind
And
of
it was empty?
Well, there's like maybe
there
100.
wasn't a lot though.
It probably has 1,000 capacity and probably been 100 people in it.
Wow. So it's pretty much like a ghost town.
Spectacular. So I basically got Best Husband of the Year award for that.
Yeah, you're still living off that one, aren't you?
I try to, but I thought, how am I going to beat that? Well, then the next year we were in Istanbul, Turkey on February 12th. So February 14th, we went to Athens, Greece for Valentine's, and we got to have a rooftop dinner looking at the Parthenon. I'm just like, dude, this is from arm wrestling. Arm wrestling got me this stuff.
And now it's even harder to top that.
I can't.
What are you gonna do now?
I mean, I got to like go to the moon or something. Like I don't know how
do something like way out there.
It had to like maybe a private jet, something somewhere. Which
is crazy.
I'm not there yet. So I mean, but yeah.
Hey, but you're working on it. It's not over.
It's
never over.
Daily grind, baby. Daily grind.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that is crazy, you know. But it shows that arm wrestling is more of like one of those things where you might not make a bunch of money doing it, but it'll take you and open so many more doors, I feel like.
Without a shadow of a doubt. So let me put this into perspective. I have probably earned in prize money $500,000 arm wrestling.
Over how long?
Over 33 years. So I could have worked at McDonald's and made more money, right? So McDonald's would have been a more profitable decision than being an arm wrestling world champion. But because of that, like the 2 times I've had private jets were because of arm wrestling. I was 5 rows back when Anderson Silva snapped his leg at the UFC.
Really?
You know, I mean, I've had amazing life experiences that I wouldn't have had otherwise. I mean, I guess I could have been very financially successful in some other business that would have been able to buy these things.
Yeah.
But these things have been gifted to me because of my
your hard work and your dedication.
Yeah, so that's cool. I mean, travel the world and see a bunch of cool stuff, and I have friends all over the world, which is fun.
And that is cool. I mean, I feel like you're one of those guys though that has a discipline and a work ethic that you could have done anything at all and it'd been successful. You know, you would have. I feel like you would have took it to the next level based off the.
And it just comes down to that
drive.
disgust for losing, right? You know,
Yeah.
You know the whole what is that Talladega Nights? Second place is first loser or whatever.
If you ain't first, you're last.
If you ain't first, you're last. That's what it is. You ain't first, you're last. That's what it was. So that makes zero sense. But at the same time, I understand.
No, it's all or nothing. I think.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not the thrill of victory. It's just, oh God, I hate how it feels.
I hate losing. You know?
Yeah, it's but yeah, it's driven. It's made me a very driven person. You know.
Yeah, and it shows. It shows. I mean, look at you. You've went everywhere, done everything. I mean, a lot of people say, you know, arm wrestling. There's got to be some kind of life expectancy. You know, like football, you don't have a very long life expectancy to play professional sports. I mean, where do you see on average, which, you know, you're still at it and you're still strong as ever, not stronger. Where is like the average life expectancy of a
I want to answer this in 2 different answers, right?
Yeah.
If you're an American, if you're North American, the best North American arm wrestlers we have right now are between 45 and 60.
Wow, so it gets better. It's like
we've been doing it for years. Like we have all this crazy experience. Now the Eastern Europeans, they have a new crop of ridiculously strong people coming up. Like every 10 years, there's a whole new beast of
crazy
people, right? So we don't really have that next generation here in the United States that are competing at the level. There are people who are arm wrestling. Arm wrestling keeps getting bigger. Even in Arkansas, there's an arm wrestling practice somewhere in the United States. Someone in Arkansas probably 4 times, 5 times a week.
Really?
Somewhere across the state, 4 or 5 times a week, there's an arm wrestling practice. So if you want to get into arm wrestling, go to Facebook, look up, you know, Arkansas arm wrestling or whatever, and you'll find a practice to start practicing, right? But the Eastern Europeans, like in Sweden, the Swedish females are unbelievable. But they have arm wrestling in school like we have football or basketball.
Oh yeah, so it's like a national sport.
Yeah,
it's like
you actually can take arm wrestling as a course.
That'd be cool.
Right? Kazakhstan is unbelievably strong. They literally have a school of just these youth that are like
really training them
9, 10, 11 that are just insane. Like they have this entire school for arm wrestling. So it's a different culture, and they take it very, very seriously. But
do you think it's something that social media will help in the United States, or is it just one of those things that's like it'll never stick unless something changes or something happens?
Well, so here's the deal. In my opinion, arm wrestling had a huge boost during COVID because we had no live sports. So people went to the internet and they found arm wrestling. And then they fell in love with the characters. There's a handful of us who have large social media presences and have a decent following. And it's attracted a lot more people to the sport. Because of that, I think there's a lot more people getting involved because now, there used to be 2 or 3, 5, 6 arm wrestling channels. There's 100. Right,
Yeah.
you go on YouTube, and if you follow arm wrestling,
everywhere,
every suggested video is a different arm wrestling platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it's growing. There's a lot of different opportunities. The World Arm Wrestling League, which I'm the world champion of, I'm the only guy to ever win 3 super heavyweight. They have these big Thor hammers. I got 3 of them home, 17, 18, 19. So I'm the only guy to ever win super heavyweight right-handed. There's some left-handed ones when they were tournaments, but I'm the only person to hold 3 right-handed hammers. But they went away during COVID. There's talks that they're going to come back. If they do, they want to go bigger and better.
Of course.
I've actually spoke to some other investors who have done well in some other billion-dollar investments in industries, and they're like, hey, if we do arm wrestling, we're going to do it different. But I've been promised the world for years. Like,
That's
if
right,
all the
that's
things
right.
that were supposed to have happened to me would have happened, you'd be on my podcast right now. But no, seriously, it would be. Seriously, I mean, it would
No,
be.
I hear you. I understand.
But I mean, that's the thing. So you kind of you want it, you're optimistic, but you kind of just take it all with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
And I don't do it. Now, yes, providing for my family is my number one priority, right? So thankfully, because of social media and different partners, we're able to do that. But I don't do this for fans I do it for me. I still got more to prove. People are like, so when are you going to retire? I'm like, there's no such thing as a retired arm wrestler. You arm wrestle till you die.
You arm wrestle till you just lose both your arms.
Hopefully that doesn't happen. Literally you croak over at the table or something. I don't know. But literally, I just don't. I've seen so many people do it for so long and still compete at a very high level that, I mean, God bless me with just an ability to endure, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's disrespectful if I don't try to fulfill as much potential as I have, so.
Well, you don't want to leave nothing on the table.
No, I mean, like I want to live life to the fullest. None of us are promised tomorrow. That's why, like I said, being with Rebecca every day, I'm glad we don't have traditional jobs because she's a 30-year national award-winning labor delivery nurse. So she could go be delivering babies and saving lives,
Absolutely.
Which is a very honorable career, but I don't want to be away from her. Like I said, we're not promised tomorrow. We don't know. We live in a crazy world today anyway, so who knows what's going to happen. So I want my time to be with the people that mean the most to me. So I try to be the best guy I can be in both. I fall short constantly. Like I mess up all the time, but
it ain't
I work hard.
It's not lack of effort though.
Yeah, I work hard.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. And I can tell just the short amount of time that I've hung around you and your wife, I can see that y'all together, y'all are just going through life, as one. And I can tell that y'all's connection is just so strong. Like y'all got each other's back.
It truly is a blessing, and this is going to take it off to a different point. So when we met as an adult, 38 years old, I didn't think that you could have that giddy high school type love.
Yeah,
how you feel?
And how old were you at this time?
38.
38.
Yeah,
okay.
I'd lived life, and I just thought, you kind of grow to love somebody. You don't have that, head over heels in love thing.
Like it just happens.
And when I met her, I threw all that out the window. I was like, nope, she's the one.
She's the one. Well,
like,
it all started when she insulted your arm wrestling.
That was it. Like, this is a thing? Oh, I love you. You're amazing. But yeah, so it's just crazy that it took me 38 years to find her. We joke all the time that if we could have met when we were kids, 'cause like her parents almost moved from Bryant to Magnet Cove. Like,
no way.
Yeah, they almost did. Like when we were in junior high.
What a small world.
It's insane. Yeah, and then like where she spent her summers at in Malvern, the land right across the street, my cousin owned.
Yeah.
So I know she went in and I came out of a convenience store within 30 minutes apart at some point in our life.
Oh, y'all definitely probably rolled up to the matching windows, looked over, didn't even think nothing.
You know what I'm saying? So it's yeah. But like I said, I'm very blessed and thankful for the life I get to live, and I have 5 amazing grandchildren, and they think Big Papa's awesome. So
and you're probably a really great role model.
Well, I mean,
Did you see yourself as a teacher, like passing on, like
well, of course, yeah. I mean, but I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm very consistent in my, I believe there's consequences for your actions. And I've always been, any one time I've been, parenting or raising, I felt like you couldn't tell a kid, don't do this, because now you're just asking them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been this. Hey, you do whatever you think you can get away with. Feel free to try anything you want to do. But if you get caught, these are the consequences. I'm not going to tell you not to do it.
Yeah.
If you think you can get away with it and I won't find out, feel free. But if
I find out,
this is the consequence.
Yeah.
So going into this, there will be a consequence if you.
Yeah.
So, and it kind of seemed to work, right? Got good kids, and so I don't know.
Man, that's good. That's great. I'm happy for you. You got it going on, and you got big things going on too. But going back to your story here.
Yeah.
What was the one thing that you were known for the most whenever you first started getting noticed? When I say noticed, I mean like people see you walk in the room and they're like, "Oh, it's Michael Todd."
Okay.
What's he doing?
So that never really happened till social media in the United States.
Really?
So arm wrestling was on Eurosport in 90 countries, 60 different languages for, several decades. Well, not several decades, probably 15, 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was in the intro where I was competing because I was the Arm Wars World Champion. So I could land in Italy and the taxi cab driver knew me. But I could go around Arkansas and no one knew who I was.
In your own backyard.
Yeah, no clue.
Hot Springs, Arkansas. Like,
listen, yeah,
who is that guy? He's got a cool beard.
And I didn't have the beard then. So the beard is a Rebecca thing. She likes the beard. She likes people to think I'm a little crazy. So she has this really crazy beard. But yeah, dude, it's just I never got a lot of it in Arkansas. I am becoming more people are becoming aware of me now, and I do believe it's because of social media. But so I kind of went from being Michael Todd to Monster Michael Todd in 2006. And this story is I was in Las Vegas at Circus for the National Arm Wrestling League during the Mr. Olympia weekend.
Okay.
And Neil Pickup, who's a promoter for Arm Wars, was the announcer for the National Arm Wrestling League. And it's the first time anyone had seen me at like 250 pounds. And I was like 250 ab.
You were like,
at this point in my life, I was the biggest, most muscular I'd ever been. And Neil was on the phone because he's from the UK. He's back on the phone with somebody in the UK. And I walk out and I had my shirt off. He goes, "Oh my God, Michael Todd's a monster."
There it is.
The next day he introduced me as Monster Michael Todd. So that was it. It's just, I looked big and muscular. Dude, he was a monster. So that was it. So I've been Monster Michael Todd ever since.
Dude, that's awesome. That's an awesome way to get a nickname.
Yeah, because
cool
if you name yourself, it's not
near as cool.
It's not as cool. So
if
someone else names you, then it was kind of neat. But yes, and then what I've been known for prior to my left arm blowing apart in 2010, which is a horrific story.
Man.
But prior to that, I was known for being the guy who would win the most unwinnable match. Impossible to win from this position. I would somehow find a way to win. Because of that, I had over 70 fractures occur in my right arm.
When you say position, are you talking? What are you referring to? Exactly?
I'm talking about like your hand twisted behind you, like
it just holding on with everything.
Worst possible spot, the one you turn and look away from because you think the arm's about to snap.
Right. Oh, here it goes.
Yeah, that. I also my humerus never broke, but I had multiple fractures throughout my elbow, and so I was just known for being the most exciting guy. Like I didn't talk a bunch of smack beforehand or after, but when the match said go, like I'm the guy. Like I'm the guy that's going to win the most exciting match you've ever seen.
So you're like one of those guys that you don't get all excited, like worked up, slapping the table or nothing. You kind of just let the match come.
Well, how it is,
and you're locked in.
Even to this date, after arm wrestling over 1 million matches at practice and everything else, right? I still get nervous before a tournament. And I can be arm wrestling here. Like if you had a tournament here.
Yeah, like a local
and I'm nervous. Now it could be a practice and I got the best guys in the world, not nervous at all. But the moments it's a real tournament, I still get nervous.
Because those wins and losses aren't training no more. They're
legit. Like it counts, right? So for me, I would always be the guy who would second guess myself. Like I'd do all the work, I'd train my ass off. But the week before I'd be like,
you start thinking about it.
You think I've done enough?
Like,
should I retire?
Am I prepared?
Am I strong? Do I deserve to be here? That first ready go, most of the time it would be a hit and a slip. And I would know that they went as hard as they could on go and they didn't knock me out of center or hands slipped apart. Now we're about to go on the strap. I'm like, oh yeah, it's on now. So there would be, you can see most of my matches and you'll see like a mental switch take over and I go from Michael Todd to Monster Michael Todd. It's a different dude.
Oh yeah. So you prefer the strap?
I have for years, right? Because for so long prior to my left arm injury, which I'll talk about in just a second, I only worried about just being stronger. Yeah. I didn't focus on the specifics, the hand and wrist and all the things that. So my arm, like John Brzezinski, Ron Bath, who the best to ever do it, said, man, if Michael Todd's arm ever catches his hand, we're all screwed, right? Because my arm was insanely strong.
Well, that probably started from where you started.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, wrist wrestling, like you said.
Redneck arm wrestling, being just country strong. And then my left arm. So what happened is I had an injury at a world title defense in London. Came home, arm was black and blue from my shoulder all the way down to my wrist. And I put a sleeve on it, bench 500 pounds with it like a week later. I didn't know.
Golly.
And then
just fought through it. Huh?
Yeah, I just kept going. I was like, oh, it's fine. It'll be good. Well, the doctor misdiagnosed me. He said I had a muscle tear. Come to find out, I had a partially torn ligament.
Oh.
So at Cine Combat, Memorial Day weekend, 2010, I'm in London again. And the night before the match, they're like, hey, man, so what's going to happen tomorrow? I'm like, well, I mean, as soon as they say go, I'm going to go as hard as I can. My arm might come apart, but we're going to find out tomorrow. Because I'm not a guy that warms up. Like, I feel like
you just go straight in cold.
Well, I feel like if I warm up and I feel any like tweaks, I won't go 100%.
Yeah, it'll go in your head.
So if I feel anything that doesn't feel right when they say go, I'm very explosive. When they say go, I won't go as hard.
Yeah.
So, and whether it's just mental or what, that's how I've always done it. That very next day, we arm wrestled on right hand. I won the right handed.
Yep.
The next day was left handed. And this was supposed to be the best shoulder presser in the world. Like, he would drive behind his shoulder and he'd beat all these awesome top rollers. I'm like, listen, nobody's got a better shoulder press than me.
Oh,
I said, your hand and wrist might be stronger than mine, so you can put people in a press that I can't put in a press because I can't get them there because my hand and wrist are not strong. But if you go shoulder to shoulder with me, nobody's going to beat me.
Yeah.
Ready to go, bam, I nail the shoulder press and I'm on it. Like, I've out hit him. It's perfect. I'm in a perfect position. I start looking at the camera. I'm like, yeah.
You're getting them
and I make a mistake. I have my arm behind my shoulder and I back off this way.
Oh.
Medial ligament rips off the bone, flexor mass rolls up the forearm, elbow dislocates about 6 inches, and it slaps the table behind me.
Dude.
It was bad.
Dude,
like,
let me ask you, as soon as that happened and you looked over at it, what was the first thing went through your head?
Well, you'll see in the video, they put my arm down. They're sitting there. The same guy's holding my bicep and my forearm, right? And I'm looking at my opponent. My opponent's freaked out. I'm like, dude, I was in that hook though, wasn't I?
Dude, you're lucky.
I was immediately talking smack immediately. I was like, dude, I almost had you.
You were so lucky.
Yeah, but what's crazy is I didn't feel any pain at that point. But then the guy who was holding my upper arm, my lower arm, lets go of my upper arm, and the arm resets. Oh God, that was like one of the most painful things I've ever experienced. I immediately just screamed out loud because my arm went back into place, right?
That's wild.
Yeah, so they went in, they rebuilt it. Well, rebuilding my left arm changed my style of arm wrestling right-handed because I couldn't pull on the peg.
Yeah, it changes. Yeah.
So I still pull it. So I just started immediately back pressuring, top row, pronation, all that stuff. Well, it evolved into what's called the King's move, which I didn't create. Crazy George from Canada, King George, he's the one that came up with it. He used to 70+ years old, and he was smacking fools with this crazy. Well, he wasn't smacking anybody. He'd just catch them, wear them out, and beat them.
Hold them.
Well, then I was a guy who made it popular or unpopular, whatever you want to call it.
I've heard.
Oh, I'm the most hated guy in arm.
Yeah, you're like the most.
Yeah, that's not trying to be hated.
Love it or you hate it.
Yeah, I'm very. You're either
it's
big.
Controversial.
You're very big fan, or you hate me. And the hate comes from the 2018 WAO World Championships. Devin Larratt had arm wrestled Thor, and he got 20+ million views. He arm wrestled Shaq, got 20+ million views. So he's the most famous arm wrestler in the world. He's everyone's hero. Well, at the 2018 WAL Finals, they went to super match format. He had been the 2017 heavyweight champ. I'd been the 2017 super heavyweight champ. They unified the divisions.
Yeah.
And everyone's just saying Devin's going to be the champ. I'm like, dude, Devin's the skinny guy champ. Now, he's 265 now. He went up from 225 to 265.
So he's 265, and was he 6'6"?
6'6", yeah.
So he's a big dude.
And he's got like a 7-foot reach. Like, his wingspan's insane. Amazing arm wrestler. But at that event, people were overlooking me. I'm like, dude, I'm the super heavyweight champ. He's the heavyweight champ. I said, well, all right.
I'm the super.
And I'm like, listen, you got to come take what's mine, and I'm not letting it go.
Yeah.
We would go to war, 5 rounds. I ended up beating him 3-2. Well, that becomes the most controversial win in history. And I had this legion of Devin Larratt fans and just hate me.
Straight up haters.
Like, we made a video of how I got 1 million haters. It was that video. It was that match because it just went viral because, he cheated. I'm like, I did everything within the rules. I did exactly what I was supposed to do.
That's crazy.
That made me. So then there's this rivalry between me and Devin that really didn't really exist, but now it is because people push for it. Yeah, so
which that's not necessarily a bad thing either.
No, man. I mean,
it adds a little bit of excitement to it.
Of course, he's Canadian. I'm here, and he's ex-special forces, 16 years. Yeah. I mean, like he's been through it all, like shot, stabbed, blown up, all that stuff. Like, dude's been through it all. But yeah, he's an amazing arm wrestler. Now, in 2021, we ended up having a match, and no one thought I was going to lose, and I ended up losing to him. He swept me all rounds, which is unbelievable. Couldn't believe. I still can't believe. I was like, how'd that happen? I get home and I end up getting COVID, double pneumonia, 6-degree fever for 6 days. my doctor wouldn't let me go to the hospital. He's like, as weak as my immune system is, he figured I'd die from something else.
Wow.
Yeah. Fortunately, Rebecca was a nurse. My mother-in-law was a 40-year ER nurse, so she came and lived in an RV to make sure that I made it through it. But, percussion therapy, breathing treatments, everything to get through that. It took me probably 6 months to just to be able to breathe normally again.
It took a toll on you, huh?
Oh, that double pneumonia was rough, man.
Was you worried?
Dude, on the 6th day, I'm on the floor crying, say, please don't let me die.
Man.
Like, when the doctor tells you will probably die if you go to the hospital.
Yeah, no, that's not, you don't like to hear that.
It's one of those things like, dang, I probably should not die.
Like, what did I do to deserve this?
This is horrible. And so what's crazy about that, I got COVID while we were on our tour. And we had just left Duck Dynasty. And we just done both Duck Dynasty podcasts. We're like, oh my God, did we just kill the Duck Dynasty crew? Because fortunately they had all our
heads up, by the way, I got this.
They had all. We didn't know it. I didn't know it until I got home. I just knew we couldn't smell much anymore. But fortunately, they had all had COVID already. Now this was that Delta variant thing.
Yeah.
But it was bad. And then from there, I had this crazy nerve damage in my hand. Like I used to have this really thick, meaty thumb here, and it completely atrophied. It's starting to grow back some now. So I went from double pneumonia, COVID, severe nerve damage. Took a couple of losses, had a good comeback win, and then I partially tear my bicep in October of 2022. So I'm like, because I had a world title match for the heavyweight world championship in November.
Yeah.
I had to make the call. I mean, everybody's like, dude, your arm's not going to be ready. Like, you can't compete in 4 weeks. So we had to back out of that match. Well, then Devin ended up taking the match, becoming the heavyweight, winning the match, becoming the heavyweight world champ. So then I'm sitting back here just waiting.
Eating you up too.
Oh man, it was so bad.
It's unbearable when you get involved in
I was just like, that was my world title. And Devin did a great job to do it. Like, it was awesome. But then I go ahead and I have a stem cell sponsor. Vitacell Biologics took care of me. I got stem cells. You could see the regrowth of the tendon. Everything was great. And then I got a chance to be the light heavyweight world champion, which means I had to cut to 105 kgs. I hadn't been 231 pounds in a very long time.
Yeah.
So January of this year, I go back and I go to Istanbul and I compete for the light heavyweight world title. And I win round one. The dude's a freak. He's from Kazakhstan. Pound for pound best arm wrestler on the planet, probably.
Wow.
I win round one. Round two, there's a lot of controversy about me getting fouling when I didn't really foul. But
so explain the fouls for people that don't know. Let's explain some of the things that some people might not know. So let's go back to the strap. So
if your hand slip apart at all, as long as it's in a neutral or neutral position where you didn't purposely do it, because you can't get called for an intentional slip, they apply the strap.
Is it mostly when two people are top rolling?
Most of the time when people are top rolling. Sometimes the guy's top rolling, the other guy's doing a bent wrist flop, you'll slip and you'll put the strap on, right? But once you apply the strap, it's a little bit different technique because most of your pressure wants to pull through the bottom of the strap. And that's how I used to do it. I get a really, really tight strap, and I would pull as hard as I can, pronate as hard as I can. It didn't matter if my wrist went back some, your wrist was going to go back too.
Yeah.
Most of the best arm wrestlers in the world are only strong from here to here, right? They got to get this position to get strong.
Yeah.
Once I take their knuckles past their wrist,
it's
they're
over.
Like half as strong. Well, I'm extremely comfortable from that position, so I would just put everybody in that position and then wear them out.
And that goes back to what your King's move.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I would just, once I could see the back of my hand, once I could pronate through and stop the match, once I stopped the match, I felt like you just had to have a greater desire to win than I had to discuss for losing. Mm-hmm. I played tennis the same way. If I could return your serve, I think I would outvolley you.
You're a tennis player?
Dude, tennis, ping pong. I like Forrest Gump on ping pong, dude.
Dude, I'll play you in ping pong.
I'm extremely competitive. I'm extremely competitive.
I'm all in it too.
Well, we'll have
so that'd be the next thing we do.
Yeah, the new facility building. We put, I got a ping pong table at the house. Waiting to put it in the new space. Thought about putting an indoor pickleball court into the new space.
Really?
Yeah.
So hang on now, because I feel like you got a lot more going on with arm wrestling here. What do you do whenever you just want to go out and just have some fun and enjoy yourself? What's some hobbies that you're into?
So just to tell you, very few things do I get pleasure and joy from because I'm so competitive. Yeah. Like if we all go bowling, it is not going to be a fun experience for me because I'm like,
you're stressed out.
Give me my own lane. Give me my own lane. You guys can bowl in the separate lane, and then I'll be fine.
Yeah. What's the grease pattern?
Yeah. Here? So when I was 14 years old, I bowled a 266 with a house ball. And just 14 now my best game ever is 290. I had a 6-pin spare, 11 strikes.
Too.
I'm just competitive, man. I mean, I'm telling you, like, I didn't play any team sports, but I could beat everybody in my school in basketball.
Yeah.
But I could not have played team. I could play man. I didn't know how to play basketball. We could play 1-on-1 or 21. I'm going to most likely beat you.
Yeah.
And it's because I would out hustle you. I'd out rebound you.
You're just a competitor.
I just try harder.
Competitor. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, really, seriously. So it didn't matter what I did. I just tried really hard. Like when I was playing tennis, we would play tennis in Malvern and we'd forget to turn the lights back on and we'd be right in the middle of a thing and bing, the lights go out. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Now it's 20 minutes for the lights come back on. I mean, I've always been that guy. It didn't matter what I did. Miss Pac-Man. Like one of my friends is like, dude, everything you do, you're good at. Because we were driving to the national championships in Laughlin, Nevada in 2001. I'm stopping to get gas. I go in. There's a Miss Pac-Man game. I'm like, hang on a second. I got to set that score. So I sit there and I play for like an hour on one quarter. Yeah. And my buddy's just laughing at me. And the same thing with Galaga. I mean,
all of it.
I'm just really competitive.
You fixate over it, and it's like, okay, I got to conquer this at all costs. And you probably sit there the whole time, and it's not enjoyable because you're constantly thinking, all right, figuring out how to beat it. All right, what's the move? And you just take it to the next level.
It's pretty bad. So I've never owned a gaming station. Like in my adult life, I've never owned an Xbox or anything, or especially I don't even know what the games are, the ones that you can do interactive and play.
Oh yeah, virtual
never
reality.
played one in my life because I know the moment I do, I am now hooked.
Yes.
So I will never own one.
I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be horrible. Like I'd be smack talking kids. It'd be horrible. Like,
you'd be in there with like all the 12, 14-year-olds. Like,
I'd be brutal. It'd be so bad. So I don't even start.
They wouldn't even know the guy they're talking to.
They would be crushing me in the beginning, but by around the third day,
just imagine
I've played 72 hours straight and I'm killing everybody.
Imagine hearing your son in there in the den or whatever playing a video game, getting yelled at by this like grown man. And you're like, "What's your problem?" You show up and it's Michael Todd.
I mean, that's the thing is I just always had that personality.
That's crazy.
Like my family will not play board games with me. No one will play cards with me because they think I count cards. Like, and it's only because if we're playing spades, like I know what you got. Like I've already seen everything that's played. Play your spade. Like I know what. All you got to do is be aware, and I've just always been that guy.
Yeah, you've been aware, and you're also like constantly thinking how to win.
Yeah. So the different things in the strap. You slip apart, you go to the strap. Fouls. Your elbow comes off the pad. Do
you slip off the pad ever?
Yeah, of course.
I imagine if you go to a top row, and you might want to explain what a top row is. A lot of people might not know.
Okay, so you got 3 basic moves in arm wrestling. You have the shoulder press, which is that country redneck thing that I started with. You just turn in and you drive into it, right? Yeah. And then you have a drag hook where you turn them into a hook and you supinate and you pull down with your lat and your bicep. Then you have the top row, the most advanced move in arm wrestling. You're going to get your knuckles high, and as you cup your fingers to your elbow, you pronate through your thumb. And it's the same move as you do as a drag hook. You just do it with hand control. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of arm wrestling's a tug of war. People think it's a pushing sport, but really it's a pulling sport. There's a hand peg to hand peg that's sitting at the table. I want to pull you closer to me. The closer I can get you to me, the less leverage you're going to have. So people are like, that's not how you arm wrestle. I'm like, no, it is how you arm wrestle. It's just not how you redneck arm wrestle. I mean, the professional sport of arm wrestling has been that way forever, right? So they're like, well, it's not, because on Facebook. It's so funny because most of my views are on Facebook, and I laugh because I'm getting to an entirely new audience because they don't have any idea that this is professional arm wrestling. Like constantly, every single day, like that's cheating. And it's great because now I'm exposing new people to arm wrestling. They may call me the cheater, may call me whatever they want. But
haters going to hate.
They're going to see the sport for what it is, right?
Yeah.
And it's so funny because they'll have people younger than me like, well, my generation did this. I'm like, no, they didn't. Because arm wrestling's been around since like 1960 and they did just like this.
Yeah.
It's just we grew up redneck arm wrestling with you couldn't move this, couldn't do this. And that's not professional arm wrestling. Those are the rules that you were taught as a kid from your dad or your uncle or whoever was strong.
Those were the backyard rules you had on the tailgate.
But that's just how we grew up. And prior to knowing the professional sport, we assumed that that's the rules. Well, it's not. It's just the rules we were taught.
How many fouls do you get before you get a loss?
The world of arm wrestling has always been the second foul is a loss. WAL and some other leagues went to having 3 fouls. The third foul is a loss. And a lot of it is just switched over to entertainment. They want, they stopped calling some fouls. And because they don't want the match to stop on fouls, because if you don't understand arm wrestling, you're like, what happened? Who won? Well, the guy moved in a referee's grip. He wasn't supposed to do that. And it is less entertainment for the fans. So, but there has to be a happy medium. WAL went crazy. It's like Wild Wild West. Crazy fouls and nobody's stopping anything. I'm like, oh my God.
Let it go.
Oh, it's so bad. But I mean, I don't know. It's the rules change, but the traditional rules of arm wrestling, the second foul you lose. You can't make body contact with your competing hand. Yeah. But the foul that I was called for that I didn't do was your shoulder cannot be below the table. Your humerus cannot be in a declined position in a neutral or losing position, meaning I can't be going down, right? But I was perfectly above the table, everything right.
So you have to be above the table? What has to be above the table when you're in that move?
Well, it used to be just your shoulder. Now they've made it to where the humerus cannot be, the bone of the humerus cannot be declined, right? So you can watch this frame by frame. I never foul, but I get called for a foul.
Yeah.
And in that match, I'd already won 1 round. In the second round, I had the guy's wrist compromised, and I would have finished the match. And I've never lost a super match up 2-0. Well, they foul me. We restart it, and then this time he gets a looser strap. He compromises my wrist. I'm still in the match, so bam, bam, bam. And then I get called for a second foul, so I lose. Instead of being up 2-0 without having my wrist compromised, I'm 1-1. I've already had a compromised wrist, and now I lose my mind. I'm yelling at everybody because I'm like, why are y'all trying to cheat me? But so what I should have done is just taken the foul, went back to my corner.
Yeah.
I spent so much energy.
Calm down.
Yeah, there was no calm at that point.
Think rationally.
So long story short, I go 2 more epic rounds. This guy, he ends up beating me 3-1. So that was January. And then I'd raised like $100,000 to go on tour to do a quest to win 100 first places. In my entire arm wrestling career, I've never seen anybody win 100 first places in a year. Back in 2001,
Those just local tournaments,
all of the United States, national championships, whatever, anywhere I could go.
Wow.
So in 2001, I had a sponsor. I pulled 35 events, and I won like 110, 112 awards, and it was like 91 first places. Dang. So as far as I know, no one had ever won 100. So I went on the road, and I was going to try to win 100 first places. So I had won 16 first places out of 2 events, 8 one event, 8 the next. I entered every weight class, won the overalls, won everything.
Yeah.
So 242 division, super division, master division, overall division, everything. I just won everything. So at the 3rd event, February 25th in Kansas City, Missouri, they had these awesome swords. Like, I'm a trophy whore. I'm just going to be honest. If it's a cool trophy and I don't have it.
He's all about the trophy, yeah.
I told you, right? I didn't have these growing up, so I want to keep them. And I go up there, and the very first division is the Masters division, over 40 years old. I win that class. The very first match of the pro 245-pound division, I bust the guy over, our hands slip apart, bicep tendon rips off the bone. I'm like,
And when was this?
February 25th of this year.
So that's like the most recent.
Oh, yeah.
That's your most recent injury.
And it's way worse than what it sounds. I'll tell you in just a second. So the bicep rips off the bone. I'm like, oh, crap, I just tore my bicep. So now I can't pull the 245 class. I can't pull the super heavyweight class.
So you're worried.
But I have 3 left-handed divisions. I'm like, I'll go ahead and pull left. Yeah. So I hop in there, and I tried to hold the hand peg, and I flashed this dude in a shoulder press. Hurt so bad because
it's a lot of.
Well, I'm pulling with this. So I'm like, hey, guys, can I continue to compete if I just put my arm to the side? Technically, you're supposed to have a hold of the hand peg, but everybody let me compete because it's a disadvantage not to hold not to hold the hand peg. Yeah. And so I win the 245 class, I win the Masters class, but I end up losing the super heavyweights. I just didn't have enough. These are
big dudes here.
400-pound dudes, and I'm trying to get a press on them without holding the peg. So I ended up losing that class. So I was at 19 first places at that point. And I'm on my way home. I'm like, oh, my God, dude, what am I do?
Yeah.
And I called a friend from a trip we'd met in Vegas years ago, and he knew this surgeon who I didn't know how big of a surgeon he was at the time.
Yeah.
The next day he calls me. He's like, yeah, man, come on in. We'll get you in here next week, blah, blah, blah. Well, remember I told you I had all those fractures in my right arm?
Yeah.
Well, I had over 70-plus fractures over the last 15 years, and they had grown these osteophytes the size of a tennis ball. So I had a tennis ball amount of bone just in between my forearm and my bicep. Right? Oh, yeah, my arm wouldn't close past here. I could get 10.5 inches from my fist to my shoulder as a range of motion. Well, everyone for the last 10 years has said the most you can do is get an elbow replacement. We wouldn't be able to lift over 30 pounds.
Well, that ain't going to work.
I'm like, dude, that's no quality of life. I'm not doing that. Well, this doctor's like, listen, man, I can't even fix your tendon without taking that bone out. I'm like, well, I thought you couldn't do it. He goes, no, I can do it. So he goes in. He thinks it's going to be a 2-hour surgery. And also, I hadn't felt these 2 fingers since 2007 because I've had a compressed ulnar nerve. So he goes in here, and he scrapes out this and scrapes away some bone to release the compression. Takes out this tennis ball amount of bone out of my elbow, looks at my tendon, and we can share this. You guys can put this up.
Yeah.
If you don't have a weak stomach, I have the video of what my tendon looks like. My arm opened up. It is horrific. So
it's terrible.
A bicep tendon is supposed to be round and tubular, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and my tendon it ripped off the bone and shredded north to south. So mine was all completely flattened out, and it had been growing scar tissue tentacles trying to attach to anything.
Really?
So my arm was just trying to hold together. What had happened was that bone was like a coral reef. So every time I used my bicep, my tendon would
just cut.
It was just sawing away on my tendon. Wow. So it just ripped completely off. Well, the doctor went in, took out the bone, released the compression of my ulnar nerve, and he resutured it and retubulized it, and then did 3 points of fixation on my tendon. His words were, your bone will splinter apart before your bicep tendon ever comes back out.
Wow.
Challenge accepted. You know what I'm saying? So,
here we go.
Yeah, but yeah, that was March 3rd.
Man, so all right, so that was really your last hardcore competing before that injury, right?
I have not competed right-handed since.
Man,
yeah,
that's crazy. And I mean, are you upset about it? Like, are you
okay?
Are you itching?
I'm going to tell you something that is so ironic. We were in the UK We did a 14-day tour of the UK, traveled all of the UK, and I was doing a seminar, and someone was talking to me about I had lost 17 and a half inches, 19 and a half inches range of motion, 10 and a half inches here, 9 inches from going straight. And I said, man, if there was a surgeon out there that could fix my elbow and give me full range of motion, I would go back to the most basic level of strength just to have that range of motion back.
Really?
And then 5 months later, I tore my bicep, and now I have range of motion. I've actually couldn't come back past here. Now I can bring my hand all the way to here. So obviously this part's not strong yet because I haven't been able to train it for 15 years. So it's still way behind everything else, but it's catching up.
Isn't that so wild that you just like unlocked a whole new level of a new style, a new?
Well, I'm going to have access to everything I used to have before the injuries, plus the open top row, King's move, hand and wrist, pronation, domination, all that stuff. But so instead of being upset about it, I'm a firm believer God's got a plan. Everything happens for a reason. But I actually said this, and then now it's come to fruition, and I'm more optimistic now about my future than I've ever been. I genuinely think at 50 years old, the very best version of me is still to come.
And I really believe it, because it's mind over matter, and you're completely driven, and I can tell the fight's still in you. There's nobody I've ever met more passionate about anything than you. You're obviously this is for sure your calling in life.
I mean,
if you could go back in time and tell the Michael Todd is at the fair that night, anything, what would you go back and tell him?
I'd go find that chick that's at the cheerleading thing. I'd go.
Oh, you would skip ahead. You go ahead and fast.
I'd immediately go find Rebecca. And probably my whole course of my life would have changed. I may not be the world champion, whatever, but
you might would just leave it alone.
It would have been worth it just to have her in my life those extra 21 years. But what I would do is go back to my young 14-year-old black belt self who was short and chubby. I'm like, listen, this is how you should eat correctly. Because I genuinely, wholeheartedly believe if my 14-year-old self or 13-year-old self had the knowledge of nutrition that I have today, I could have been world class at any sport.
Really, and that could be anything.
I don't think there's anything I could have done at a professional level, and it's just because I was so driven. But because I wasn't the kid who was genetically gifted. My genetics right now is a 300-pound hay hauling country boy. I'm an endomorph body type. If I eat right, I look right. If I eat like a normal person, I look like a normal person.
Yeah,
I'm just a big, strong, normal person, right? But yeah, so any advice I would ever give. So I'd go back, find Rebecca. I'd go back and tell myself to eat right. Go back and give myself like some sort of investment that I should have made that would have made me millions of dollars.
Definitely stock market.
Like if it was Back to the Future days and I'd had that whole almanac thing, we'd be set. We'd all be set right
for
now.
sure. Like stock market,
Yeah, definitely.
Like key days. Yeah,
there you go. All that stuff would have been important. But yeah, just go back and tell my younger self to treat yourself like an athlete.
So do you believe that your level of success is achievable by just somebody that has the same amount of work ethic and the same drive? Do you think that you were just gifted or driven to be this way, or is it something that they can learn?
So there are a lot of things that are nature, but nurture, I genuinely believe I'm not the person that says things are impossible.
That's right.
I'm a big believer with God, all things are possible, but I'm also, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. And consistent, everyday work, moving towards a goal of, like, if you fixate on something and you work towards doing that, I think it's possible for anybody. It's just you have to. It comes down to what are you willing to sacrifice. At the end of the day, so I'm just going to put nutrition in there for an example, right? Is the feeling and gratification you can get from eating that bad food supersede how good it's going to feel to wake up tomorrow and look good and look in the mirror and feel amazing?
I feel good.
So it comes down to that. What you just have to sacrifice the momentary joy or pleasure or whatever for the long-term success. Yeah. And if you do that enough, you'll be successful. Now, I don't think you're living less quality of life by not doing this to have this. I just think it shows discipline and desire, and I'm still a person who believes when you say something, you do it. Before we get off this, I'm going to tell you one story. This is so insane.
Yeah.
It's probably my 47th birthday. I can't remember. 47, 48, something like that. Hot Springs has Sunset Trail. It's like 16 miles. You hike it. We did it a couple years earlier in the winter, like February. Nice, cold, awesome. Cold. My birthday's June 12th. If you're from Arkansas, you know June 12th is a hot, humid day, right?
Yeah, it is.
It is not good. And I had told myself that, hey, for my whatever birthday it was, we're going to hike Sunset Trail because I want to prove that I'm still fit.
Yeah.
And we were doing construction at the time, building a new addition to our facility. And so I'd already bought the birthday cake and everything the night before. Like I have, it's cheat days for real, right? So
Yeah, you was prepared. You ready?
we're about to crush it.
Yeah.
And we take off, and I take 2 vehicles. I park one because I didn't want to carry a 50-pound backpack with all my food. So I had another backpack in the second vehicle to switch one out and more water and everything, right?
Yeah.
Well, during that first 6 miles, forgot to spray any off on me. So we're getting crushed.
Yeah, you be
crushed with ticks and everything.
Arkansas is the worst.
Horrible.
I mean,
horrible.
the mosquitoes around here, flying around with Nike
It was
cleats on.
so bad. And then Rebecca, at the time, she is much better now, but at the time, horribly scared, frightened of snakes.
Oh, man.
And there must have been a 6 or 7 foot snake cross her path. Like I'm walking ahead of her and I don't see it. She's coming up behind me. She freaks out. She takes off running. She's like, why not do this? Like, she's like crazy. So we get to that second vehicle. We drive it home and I get the off and everything. So I have 10 miles left and I am home before noon on my birthday. I could have laid in bed with my wife, ate cake, pizza, ice cream, had the best day ever. And no one cares if I go do the other 10 miles. But because I told myself I was going to do it, I go back out there and had to finish the 10
You felt that responsibility to
I told myself I was doing 16 miles. I had to do 16 miles.
Wow.
So I've always been that. Once I said it, that I'm doing it, I will do it or die trying.
Is that something you can learn? Can somebody grow into that? Because there's a lot of people out there that they hear what you're saying and they get motivated, they get pumped up, like, yeah, I'm going to be this way. They do it good for a couple of days, then they fall off. I mean, is that something that I can learn?
I genuinely believe so, but I'm going to have to say it. There are exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I feel like I do believe there are people like myself who are just extremely driven and somewhat built different. Like you're okay with
you don't
whatever.
think the same.
You're okay with whatever sacrifice you have to make to do what you said you're going to do,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I was always this way, man. I ate a lot of bean dip and chips as a kid. I was a little, I don't think I had a lot of drive. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't remember back that far. I know once I saw Karate Kid, I had to be a black belt. That was just, I had to do that. So maybe I did. I don't know, but it's just something that happened over the years. I set a goal and I achieved a goal,
And I think it's really good advice for everybody, because no matter what you choose to do, if you take the same, mindset, the same mentality, the keep getting up, keep stepping and apply it to anything, you can be the best at anything.
100%.
Or you're at least going to be maximizing your potential.
So listen, and that's the thing, is I'm not saying you're going to be the best of whatever, but you can be the best you can be.
That's right.
I just believe my best is as good as anybody else's best or better. I've always felt that way.
Yeah.
If I fulfill my potential and I do what I'm capable of, it's equal or greater than what anyone else is capable of.
Yeah.
And if you believe that genuinely, like people, especially today with social media and everything, people think that I don't mean the stuff I'm saying. Like, dude, put me on a lie detector test. Everything I'm saying, I mean 100%.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
I think I'm better than you. And I don't mean it that way. But I just think I have the capacity to be great.
You know that you could take the steps that are necessary in the discipline.
And it comes down to, I think I will work harder.
Yeah.
Like I will take hard work mentality over genetics any day when it comes to sports.
That's right.
Now, when you have someone who has hard work mentality and superior genetics, you're kind of screwed. That guy's
That
guy's a beast.
That guy's meant for it.
Yeah, I mean, but for me, it always I would just be willing to work harder. I didn't care. You give 2 people the same job, and you might need X amount of sleep, and I will not sleep to get the job done.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get it done.
you're gonna do it.
And that's just always how I've been.
Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. So,
man, that's it.
That's be the truest statement.
I mean, one of my biggest inspirations is Michael Jordan. Like he didn't make his junior high team or whatever. I don't remember exactly the story, but I've heard it and seen it. And to see what he's made of himself. And if you haven't watched that movie Air, it is spectacular because it talks about him signing the Air Jordan deal.
Yeah.
And to date, I think he gets like $250 million a year in revenue off that deal that his mom signed for him 30 years ago. Like, it might have been 40 years ago. It's been a long time. But that dude is a huge inspiration. But anything like that, like, I don't know if you guys follow CrossFit. I've looked at it a little bit. I'm a huge CrossFit fan. And not CrossFit at the box that you go to with your local person who I'm happy everybody gets to go to. It's the world-class, elite, top 40 in the world CrossFitters. Someone said, you don't know how much of an amazing stud or you have to be to finish dead last at the CrossFit Games.
Oh.
Those are by far
Let me
the
tell you
most
something.
amazing athletes I've ever seen.
You tell me do 300 pull-ups and then I go straight into 200 push-ups and I got to run a mile with a weighted vest.
Oh, you're talking
And
about
then-
Murph? Yeah.
I'm talking about
Yeah, Murph's horrible. Yeah, it's three.
you have got to be mind over matter. I will die on this field
Right. Yeah.
before I quit
And when
to
you,
make it through that mentally.
like Rich Froning, Matt Frazier, and then Tia Claire Toomey. So I'm going to leave it. I promise. Well, I'll shut up. Tia Claire Toomey, to me, is the best athlete of this generation. And people are like, no, this sports player, this sport. No, they're the best at that sport, or they're the best at this sport. All around athlete. Let me put this in perspective. You think about this. She's the 6-time fittest woman on earth. She won the CrossFit Games 6 years in a row. The 2 years before that, she took second, and then 6 years in a row, she won. During that time, she also competed in the Summer Games and the Winter Olympic Games.
Both.
2 completely different disciplines.
Yeah.
Powerlifting in the summer, bobsled in the winter, and 6-time fittest woman on earth, all in 6-year time frame. I don't think we've ever seen an athlete like that. That's amazing.
No, that is.
I mean, because
You have to balance so much there.
oh my God. So those people are the ones who inspire me. And it's funny because I'll, when I'm on long drives, I'll listen to podcasts and I'll listen to her, I'll listen to Matt Frazier, and I hear myself talking.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's my people. I mean, I see these people, and it's that driven refusal to fail. And it's not refusal to fail because we're all going to fail. It's just that disgust for failing.
Yes.
And then we'll continue to move on so I don't feel that way again.
Yeah.
I don't care how many failures I have to go through. I will come out on top. I'm going to be the winner at the end.
And
you
that's
know?
that's a winner's mindset. And it's not something you might look at it as, I feel like in today's age, everybody's like participation trophies. Everybody feel good. It's okay, Jimmy, it's all right. You struck out 4 times this game. You still get a participation trophy. But to me, that's the wrong way of looking at everything, right? You have to have competition to stack yourself up and to make yourself better. I mean, if you're getting patted on the back for getting 4th place and getting a blue ribbon at the fair or whatever, you think you did good. So if you're raised like that, what is that going to translate into the real world whenever you go and apply for an application, they tell you no?
Well, you're definitely not prepared for the world, for sure.
I mean, what do you do at that point? You don't know what failing is like. You don't know to keep pushing on. So
it's quite the conundrum, right? Because
Yeah.
you want your children to feel good, you want them to feel accomplished, but at the same time, they have to know that it takes hard work to achieve that. When I said this is my first ever award, I competed in martial arts for 4 years. I didn't compete in martial arts. I did martial arts, became a black belt in karate, but I never competed. The one time I had a full contact karate fight,
yeah,
the person across the ring from me or the square was a girl.
Yeah.
And my dad had taken me, and I blocked every shot she threw. I never was offensive, and she caught me one at the end, 1-0, right? My dad's like, what did you do? Why did you? I said, Dad, you told me never to hit girls.
yeah.
So I was like, well,
I was just
like, you told me not.
the next guy.
I didn't know what was going on. So I had only competed once, and I didn't win because my opponent was a girl, and I wasn't supposed to hit girls, right? So
Yep.
when I say it, I didn't get the participation because even in Taekwondo, every time you get a belt, you get a trophy. I was at somebody's house probably 2-3 years ago, and on the top of their refrigerators, all these karate people doing this little kick, and
Yeah.
I'm like, what's that for? Oh, for getting their white belt. Or forget. I'm like, didn't you get the white belt when you walked in? I mean, I'm so confused.
That's it.
But yeah, so
It goes by the hundreds in the back.
yeah. But so it's a different world that we live in, and is it harming this generation? I think we have the generation I'm from. I think it's just tougher, right? I think we're more resilient, and I hate that we are living. I mean, obviously you're an exception. My stepson's an exception. He's a very hardworking young man, 7-time national champion himself. But we live in a society right now that, you don't have to work as hard.
You don't have to
get, that pat on the back or to, I don't know. It's a different topic altogether. But
and it goes hand in hand with like, even if you have somewhat some drive, somewhat some passion for something, it's so much easier now to stick out because it's kind of getting watered down with, nobody that really wants to go out there and apply themselves and push beyond what they think's capable,
Right. Well, a similar example to what we're talking about right now is as the world arm wrestling champion, everyone's arm wrestled at some point in life. Someone's going to say, oh, I got a buddy that's never been beat. He'll beat you. I'm like, listen, I appreciate your confidence in your buddy. But if your buddy's never been beat, I'm pretty sure he's not that good because I've been beat 100,000 times.
And I'm world
Over
class.
the million times I've arm wrestled,
Yeah.
I've lost 100,000 of them probably to get to where I'm at. I've arm wrestled the best arm wrestlers in the world. I've also been using both hands against one arm back in the early days. So if you've never been beat and you want to bet me, we're put the stakes as high as you want because I'm promise you this is not going to be a good day for you.
Then double it.
If you've never, I mean, you're only as good as your competition.
That's
so
right.
That's what you're talking about. If you don't push the children and let them see, you have to, like you said, with your race team, having these 8 personalities and they're the best of the best, it pushes them to be better.
It does.
And that's why the Eastern Europeans are so strong because they train, like the best arm wrestlers in the United States are spread across this massive country. In these little countries, they have them all right there together, all trained together.
Yeah.
If me and the other top 10 guys in North America could train together, we would probably
if y'all lived in the same neighborhood,
dude, we'd crush everybody.
It'd be amazing.
And I say we'd crush everybody, but it would make things way, way, way more competitive.
I can see that. And you're right about that. You're only as good as your competition.
Amen. 100%.
And if you're training people that are if you're training with people that are less than you, more than likely you're not struggling. You're just kind of coasting through it, and it's hard to really get that.
Well, I mean, 100%.
That
so,
push.
And from an arm wrestling perspective, how we level the playing field is we'll wrap these bands around you or around a fixed object, and I'll arm wrestle the band and you. So I have all this resistance from the band plus you. And I tell people to do it that way because let's say you and I arm wrestle and we have 200 pounds of bands. And I'm smacking you the first 5 or 6 matches. Well, we put another 100-pound band on. Yeah. Well, then I can barely beat you.
200-pound band. Oh, hang on now. Dude, that's insane.
I took the top 5 guy in the state the other day and smacked him like he wasn't even there with 200-pound bands.
So do you have like a number for how much force you're applying when you're
okay? So
what is that number?
Rebecca's about to release a video. I had a guy come out the other day who actually had this sports science thing.
Yeah.
And we stacked 225 pounds on the pulley. We hooked this thing up to it, and then I pulled it back, which is hard. Like the guy he's a 240-pound guy. He couldn't even pull it back. I pull it back, and then I explode on it and go. And you're going to have to wait and watch the video to find out.
That's awesome. I'll definitely be waiting for that.
It's good. It's good because it's interesting data, right? It's interesting data to find out how much force there is, right? But, yeah, I mean, that's how you level the playing field. And then, but like I say, if I beat you with a 300-pound band, but I barely beat you, and then the next time you stop me, well, then you take a band off. Before you know it, there's no bands and we're fighting each other even, because I've leveled the playing field because I've got exhausted so much.
You're so fatigued now.
Yeah, so now, and that's how you make it even. And I don't know how you do it in other sports. I mean, like sprinters, they run with these parachute things behind them. Whatever it is, right? Yeah. Whatever it takes to make sure that you're still pushing. Because if you're the strongest guy in your little pond, you're going to always be the strongest guy in your little pond. You know?
Yeah, you will.
You got to get out there and push yourself.
There's a lot bigger ponds out there, and
big ponds.
More than likely, you're not going to be the biggest fish.
Right.
Yeah. Well, man, I think this was awesome. I know more about you now. I can see how you made it to where you are. With your passion, your drive to push on, carry on, and to be where you're at now with all your injuries and stuff, and still have the fight and the passion for the sport. It's just it's a great story, and I think a lot of people can learn from it.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you do, if you take it to the level to where you're fixated and you got discipline and drive, you can make it happen. And
agree.
You motivate me, you motivate other people, I'm sure.
Well, cool.
And just thanks for coming.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. This is awesome. I'm sure we'll talk more and have some more stuff to talk about. I mean, I still got a whole bunch more stuff since the injury.
I can tell you got a lot of stuff going on. Stay tuned. We're gonna get together here shortly, and we'll do another one. We'll see what all you got going on, because I know you got some stuff cooking.
Well, I appreciate you, brother, and happy to be a part of this. And thanks again.
Yes, sir. And if everybody subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Check out our race videos and all that. Smash that like button. Thanks.